Today we're looking at Witchfire, a game that has just released into Steam Early Access. While Satisfactory 1.0 has eaten away a lot of my time last week, I still wanted to take the time to talk about Witchfire, as it's that most rare of breeds, a first-person shooter roguelite. In this game, you play the role of a prayer, a special breed of witch hunter trained by the church to eliminate dangerous witches. There's no real story to the game, but every single thing you'll see is absolutely dripping with exposition. The church-looking building that serves as your hub in between runs is in ruins, and as you level up and spend magic witchfire there, that you collect through your missions, you'll slowly restore many functions to the ruins. Initially, you're restricted to using whatever the starting weapons for your chosen class are. Once you hit level 7, you'll open up the ability to communicate with the Pope, and doing this will allow you to research various types of weapons and equipment that will open up the variety for your arsenal. The general premise is that you are to find and eliminate the witch's familiars in order to weaken her hold on the land. Maybe eventually we'll be able to face the witch herself, but that's not yet clear or certain from what I can see. The weapons generally can be split into 3 types. There are handguns, shotguns, and rifles. But there are outliers such as the demonic crossbow and other things, like hand cannons whose bullets explode after you reload the gun. The blood-seeking crossbow bolts will hit multiple enemies, and everything except for some demonic weapons have special abilities that are unlocked in the hub. Don't get me wrong, the demonic weapons all have special abilities, but they don't need to be unlocked in the hub. They are fully functional when you get them. There are 3 tiers of upgrades for the other weapons, and each tier has different requirements for unlocking, although generally what you need to do to unlock tier 1 is always going to be the same for different weapons. For example, you may need to kill 75 enemies, and you need to kill 30 of them using the weapon's special ability, as an example. The basic idea is use the weapon for a few missions and likely you'll be ready to upgrade it. Like many roguelites, it's going to take multiple runs of any level to fully unlock it unless you're just a total badass. I don't know what to say. For one thing, there are areas that can only be unlocked after you've developed a high enough level of Gnosis. Gnosis, of course, or Gnosis, I don't know how to pronounce it. Agnosis? A good Gnosis? Anyways, it's a real-world concept. It's a little too complicated for me to go over, but you can Google it yourself if you want. But suffice to say that early and pre-Christian religions often referred to secret spiritual knowledge that was held by Gnostics, and that was known as Gnosis. Gnosis. In the game, passing certain milestones allows you to increase your Gnosis level. Increased Gnosis level will let you interact with otherwise ethereal objects in the game maps that are not available until you meet the level requirement, the Gnosis level requirement, that is to say. Basically, there is a lot of replayability on these levels. Currently, there are only 3 maps available. There is at least 1 more being worked on that I know of for sure, possibly 2. Completing each level would take a lot of time unless you, as I said, are crazy good at these games, or maybe I just suck. I don't know. However, the game is based around encounters. Each one is marked on the map. When you spawn in, you'll be able to look at the map, decide what you want to face, and what your goal can be for the run. There are a few special enemies that are also marked on the map, and some of them do roam the map, so you'll have to pay attention to that. The difficulty comes from your character's fragility. While basic enemies need a few hits to get you down, there are some elites that are just nasty and can basically one-shot you if you are not quick enough to dodge their attacks or get out of the way. You can be focused on fighting a small group of enemies, not realize that a patrol has come up behind you, and quickly die from overwhelming number of shots being aimed at you. Also, not all enemies have the same lethality, and it takes a few runs to learn which ones to focus on in order to stay alive. Every time you unlock a new item in the mirror, or when you level up at the altar, the witch will strengthen her defenses. That also means that the layout of the island encounters will change every so often. So you might have a trivial encounter next to your spawn area at first, and that might change to the most difficult encounter on the entire island, which can make spawning in kind of obnoxious sometimes. But don't worry, the layout changes quite often enough that it's not much of an issue. Aside from guns, your character also has access to a light and a heavy spell, although initially you'll only have access to one of these. Most characters start with a light spell, but the Saint starts with just a heavy spell. As a general rule, light spells tend to be one-off attacks that are very effective, but require recharging through Witchfire, which you gain through kills. Heavy spells tend to be area-based, with their effect lasting for some time. You don't want to use your heavy spell unless you're going to be sticking around to get its benefit. Nothing like firing your heavy spell and then finding that you've already killed everything. Dying in a run of Witchfire means that you will lose all of the accumulated volatile Witchfire, which is needed to ascend your level or level up your character. You can spend Witchfire to purchase items from a vendor, such as extra ammo or the ability to keep half of your Witchfire on death. But most importantly, you'll get to keep crystallized Witchfire, which is similar to the runes in Elden Ring. And you will lose any gold you collected. Gold comes from opening chests and from picking up relics. Gold is used at the mirror in order to unlock additional weapons, abilities, and spells. You can also buy Mysterium pages that are needed to upgrade weapons. These also can be procured by killing mini-bosses in the maps, such as the Warden. At any time during a run, you can make a beeline for the exit portal and try to get it open so that you can save everything that you've gathered. Opening up the portal requires standing near it for about 25 seconds without any enemies being nearby. Of course, doing this tends to trigger a few waves of enemies spawning in, so try to save a bit of ammo for this part of the game, or you're gonna be a sad panda. Witchfire, overall, is a really exciting game to play, and I think it deserves a look if you are interested in FPS games with roguelike mechanics. The gothic and vaguely Warhammer aesthetic might also be interesting. Despite the limited number of maps, I have yet to get bored playing this game. I am currently at 23 hours. The key here is that the game feels fun to play. Moving is easy, feels good, you can jump around, there's a double jump, mobility is great. Shooting the guns feels great. There's a large variety of guns that behave in different ways with different special perks and different styles for playing. You will find yourself adjusting the way you play based on the guns that you are carrying. You can specifically try to get certain spells that marry nicely with certain guns to sort of try to get a build going. Although I find the refresh timer on spell abilities to generally be so long that you can't entirely depend on them as a way of keeping a build going. It is still something that you can work toward and might be able to perfect with the right sort of upgrades during your run. In any case, for about $35 currently. I think it's a relatively good pickup. The reasons that you might not want to pick it up is that progress in the game has been relatively slow compared to other games that are in early access, that are exciting games to play in early access. So what I have found myself doing for the last year or so that I've owned Witchfire on the Epic Store is I will play it for a few days and then put it down for a few months. And then I'll play it again a few months later, and there will be a few new things added, but the game still basically plays the same. But if I compare my experience in the game from the time that I first played it to where it is now, there's been quite a bit of progress. There are new areas that are available to play in, there are new enemy types, loads of guns that I have never seen before. So overall, there's been progress, and it's had steady progress. Just don't expect giant patches of content within a couple of months or anything like that. So in conclusion, I think this game plays really well if you enjoy playing these types of shooter games with rogue mechanics. I think this is a no-brainer of a pickup. Super fun to play. Really enjoyed my time in it. Caveat is, the game is not complete. I'm not sure if it's ever going to be complete. So if you are okay with that, I would go ahead and pick it up. Just like any early access. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.